Meet Kayla Thompson, also known as KO, with the VSN House.
Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Thompson, also known as KO in some spaces. I am the owner of a VSN House, VSN House, and it's an opportunity for people to feel confident on social media, whether that is through content creation, learning how to make your own content, learning how to structure your social media pages, whether that's through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, how to show up in these spaces where it may seem very intimidating at first until you learn the proper tools and know-how in order to get to that goal. And so I also create your content for you if you're ever looking for that, or handle your social media pages as well. So it's an agency where we just want to see our clients strive and get all their social media goals met on social media.
I love that. My name is Angela Thompson. I am with ArKAngel Enterprises, LLC, and I have the unique and awesome opportunity to meet with Miss Kayla. KO, as some people know her. And for those that do not know, well, Miss KO is my baby, my literal baby. And she's my daughter. And I've known this little beauty for all of her life. And she is absolutely amazing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the amazing work that you do at VSN House. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what inspired you. So let's start with some of your clients. What type of clients come to you for the services that you provide?
Yeah, so I get all types of clients, whether they have a business or they're looking to enhance their personal brand. So whether that's through interior designing or publications like HBCU Buzz, or even just personal brands where they may have fitness, and that's one of their pillars, or they're looking to amplify an app that they're working on a course that they're working on. So we really help push out whatever efforts that they're trying to do with the understanding of their background, what they're bringing to the table, and currently what's going on in the social media world.
That is so important because so many of us, myself included, we do all of this work, but we don't have the time to do what's necessary to push it out there and make people aware of what it is that we do. And so I think that the work that you're doing is phenomenal. And I've seen a lot of the results of the people that you work with and how it truly has helped them to really introduce to the world what it is that they do in a poetic kind of way, in a story kind of way. And so telling the story is really what makes it all relatable. And that is the gift that you bring. And the way in which you work with your clients one-on-one is really sincere, it's compassionate, and you really help them to feel comfortable and to feel natural in the space. And so kudos to you for doing that. Let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to do this work.
Yes, when I started content creating like 2017, I was self-taught. So YouTube University was my best friend and didn't have time to hire or the funds to hire a marketing team. And so I really just kind of had to learn how to build my page up. Right now it's at 100K, but I started to understand what it means to build a tribe, and that was my first case study. So once I started to work with other people, I really had to listen to what people were asking of me. And at the time I was doing a lot of like artwork, and I was like marketing that and pushing it out. And I started to notice that people were asking about how I show up on social media and the content and the equipment that I use, because that was just easy for me, is to like market and do digital marketing. So once I started to listen to what people were asking, I started to take more of a liking to the social media and digital marketing space. And then from there, we opened in 2021, and here we are.
I love that. I do. So in the different platforms that you offer, what is the best, and does that answer vary by industry? So say, for example, you're talking to someone in real estate versus someone that has a business or an interest in art, right? They do a lot of artwork, or dancers, and maybe the demographics changes too, that age. Is there a preferred outlet that you think people should, that there's a must-have for people? And does that vary over time? So maybe they start out with pushing everything on, you fill in the blank, and then they should ultimately build to something else.
Yeah, so I think it's a three-part question. The first part is, how do you feel like your industry is going to show up, right? And I think that's half of the battle, but I think other half is, what channel do you find that you're going to be more consistent on with the understanding of how to deliver? So if you're better at short form content, if you're better at like 30-second to really quick snippets of content, Instagram will be your platform. But if you know that you can video edit to about 5 minutes to 10 minutes and actually keep people engaged, whether that's through vlogging or whether that's through showcasing, like, let's just say a home in real estate, or however you decide you want to show up, that's a better question to ask yourself. What can you stay consistent with? If I know I have a very quick on-the-go lifestyle, maybe YouTube isn't for me unless I have a video editor that can produce the amount of content to stay consistent in that realm. But even if you do have a fast lifestyle, but you know how to video edit, YouTube still may be for you. It just, you have to be honest with what you can bring to the table. As you're thinking about what form of content that you're best at, whether that's short form or long form, I think it's also, you have to stay kind of in the know of what's going on, because a lot of people have built up their TikTok pages, but yet they're about to ban it, right? But you have neglected the Instagrams or the YouTubes, but we didn't know that this was coming. We just enjoy one platform over the other. So I think just understanding the landscape of whatever industry that you're in. So what I suggest to my clients is look to see your faves. So if that's through an influencer, if that's through another real estate agent and you like how they show up, if it's a hair distributor or clothing line or whatever industry that you're a part of, look to see how they show up and what they're doing on their social medias, and then do an audit of yours and ask yourself, what am I not doing, or how would I like to show up in these spaces? But yes, I think the other part of that is just knowing what platform is what you need to do in order to meet the criteria to be successful on those particular platforms. So can I video edit? Yes. Can I schedule out content? Sure. And then move forward saying, what does my lifestyle look like and stuff? And then pull all those together, and you'll kind of find a treatment that's best for you.
What does Facebook fall into this? Is Facebook more passe now? People are not, it's more for just talking to friends about what they ate for breakfast, or is it really for businesses?
Yeah, it's definitely for businesses. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Like, Twitter's a great one for personal branding as well, because you're able to like talk and get your point across. Gen Z is more towards the TikTok realm and like the Instagram realm, whereas though you have like your millennials,
baby boomers,
yes, like they're your Facebook, but you have to understand when those things were introduced and when those platforms came about and how people are getting their content in their media. Whereas though some people like it more of a certain page where you just kind of scroll, and then Instagram and TikTok is more instantaneous, or a news source like LinkedIn is more like a news source. So you just kind of have to understand what makes sense and what ways are you going to show up on those particular platforms. So no, Facebook is not obsolete. In fact, you need a Facebook page in order to have a business page on Instagram. In order for you to have a business page, you have to be able to link it to Facebook specifically. So yeah.
Okay, great advice. That's good to know, especially on the horizon of TikTok possibly going away. People need to look for other avenues that will work for them and be more strategic about it, because once it's gone, it's gone. And just having an understanding of how it works so that they can go out to you and you can help them navigate through those uncharted territory. And then they can start letting people know, right, that I am going to start moving some of my content or start posting in 2 places. So should the inevitable happen, we not have TikTok, that we also have these other platforms, and this is where you can kind of go to get it. So I think that's great. Let's talk about podcasts. And podcasts are very popular in some industries or to some folks that kind of just tune in. Where is that in terms of placement with digital content? So there you almost either telling a story, sharing a story, just chatting about different things. How does that fit within maybe marketing and maybe not marketing, but really showcasing what it is that is of interest to you and your company, and making a connection with the community, which is really what all of this is about.
Right. So I think it pulls on a lot of different heartstrings when you're talking about podcasts, whether that's through entertainment or whether that's through emotion, relatability. So I think that's one of the reasons why podcasts do so well, as far as like marketing them on social media. I think it's an easy way to configure a tribe and configure your community. You have to be social and able to work social media properly. So whether that's through podcasting or whether you have your voiceovers and you see people doing things and they just have a microphone in their hand, it's one of those things where it's a avenue that works because your people are able to share their thoughts, but then also create content and push that out as well. So they are able to do it simultaneously. And I would just consider that to be another content pillar of like marketing for your podcast.
What are the better platforms for podcasts? What are people most tuned into? What do they go to for their podcast content?
So a lot of people record their podcasts and do a visual aid, like a YouTube video, right? So they'll record it and they'll have like the cameras, like let's say it's a camera A and camera B, they'll record it and then they'll put it on YouTube for everyone to kind of see and witness. But then they'll also take that podcast and put it on Apple Podcasts. They'll put it on Spotify. They'll put it on, I believe, Apple Music, like anywhere where you can consume your podcast, depending on how big it is. Most podcasts, you can put it on multiple channels and stream it, and that way you can listen to it in your car, or you can listen to it, while working out or day-to-day life. But as far as short form content, well, let me just go back. So earlier we had talked about, different platforms and what's kind of hot. And I will just say that anytime a platform comes out with something new, so YouTube came out with shorts and Instagram came out with reels, you want to maximize that and get on that as soon as possible, because what happens is they're going to start promoting your stuff because you're using it, it's new. So they want to start showcasing that, like, yes, this works for other users, you should join it too. So when you're marketing your podcast, typically what you'll see is people doing like short snippets of their podcast on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts as like a preview, if you will. And then that way it'll drive traffic to either their Apple Podcasts or wherever they get their podcasts, or it'll drive traffic to their YouTube page, of which they did the whole video. So that's kind of like the marketing behind the podcast, where you can take a short form content, put that in its desired place, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or even Twitter or Threads, if you're going to push it out. But your longer form will typically be on YouTube.
And see, that's why your services are so needed, is knowing what the proper distribution channel is, because it's so much out there and so much to consider. Timing is also key too, in terms of not only when you push it out in the terms of the time of day, but what platforms are best as they push it out in the morning, afternoon, evening, or what have you. And a lot of people are, at least from the beginning, when you talk about the ideate stage of your business, trying to, seed your company, just getting started, they don't have a choice to be a jack of all trades. But at a certain point in their strategy, they need to bring in professionals to at least take the burden off so they can focus on their brand. Because you said before, the key is in consistency. As business owners, we can't be consistent in everything, right? We can be consistent in finding or building the brand or perfecting the brand, or, figuring out how we're going to show up with this brand. But when you talk about things like digital content management and all the other services, HR, if you're hiring people, and accounting, everybody has to have some degree of accounting. All of these other things are things that as business owners, we have to be able to trust folks like yourselves to come in and to do it, to maintain that consistency so that we can build a brand. So what you're doing is awesome. It's needed. Let's talk about consistency. What advice do you have on being consistent with the content that we share?
Yeah, so we live in a day and age where AI is like all the rage. Like, and it's great. We have ChatGPT where you can create amazing captions, or you can create a content calendar. So if you're ever a business owner and you're like, maybe if you're a small business and you don't have like the proper team to handle your social media page, I can bet if you took an hour a day to create a monthly content calendar of either them giving you ideas for you to produce, or they're creating your captions for you, but it's something that you don't have to do as much heavy lifting as what we used to have to do years ago on social media, and really generating all this stuff just based off of our thoughts and, curating all of these ideas and strategies. So I would say it's a good thing for me. It's also a bad thing for me, because I also have to pay attention to what AI is doing in order to stay in the conversation and get behind AI and not have it work against me, but I work with it. I think that's one of the things that we can all start to utilize within any industry when we're talking about creating content for your business. So I think that's a great way to stay consistent. And I also think, having accountability partners is a good thing too, right? So if you're the type where you're like, I know I need to hire someone, find someone that is going to like, hey, here's a few pillars that you can do, or hey, here's some things, because that way it gives you ideas behind different ways for you to show up. Because sometimes people don't have that understanding or that know-how. And so I think it's really important to have a good accountability system, whether you're hiring people in, or maybe you and your friends have a goal of like, we're going to show up on social media. Let's have like a work hour where we're getting coffee and I'm working on my social media and she's working on her social, or he's working on his social media. So I think those are just ways and tactics in order for you to stay consistent on social media, because honestly, it's based off of your goal. And what I've learned is that a lot of people are camera shy and a lot of people do not feel comfortable, showing up, but that's not necessarily you have to be in front of the camera. You can also be behind the camera as well, and still relate to your audience. You just have to find content and, again, inspiration that you can recreate that's easy for you, and understanding how trends and how it populates within the social media realm.
I am so incredibly proud of you. This is extremely helpful. Any advice that you have for, say, folks that maybe have dipped and dabbed in it or just getting started? How do they start to refocus their attention on digital content strategy?
Yeah, so I think when you're talking about digital content strategy, the first thing I think I mentioned was look at what your competitors are doing. It's not saying that you're going to mimic them, but it gives you an idea of like how they're showing up. So if you're a chef, how are other chefs doing their content, right? And so whether that's really quality, like ingredients going into a bowl and you're able to get that rich content of like the visuals and the music and all that, like it takes you to an experience like you're there cooking with them. Or you may be a funny person and you're like telling jokes as you're cooking, and like you're able to see, have like a humorous side of things. It's all dependent on how you show up, but I would definitely look to see what other people are doing, and then ask yourself and do like a little audit for yourself of what works and how can I show up in that space. And I think the key to that, again, is like being honest with yourself. I think that goes with like as you're creating your content too, like look at your content, see what you created, and if there's ever times where you like kind of wander off or whatever, you need to cut that portion out, or it's not grabbing attention enough. So I think we get so wrapped up and cling on to things, but it may not be working. So how can we fix it and not take it as like, oh, I'm doing this wrong? No, you just got to switch your strategy.
I like that. Kayla, if folks wanted to get a hold of you to procure your services, what is the best way to do that?
www.vsnhouse.co. You can either email me at info@vsnhouse.co. My personal is KAYOKOLEE, and my business is House of VSN.
I will tell everybody that's tuning in, although this wonderful person that you're seeing here is my daughter, she is also incredibly talented. Whatever she puts her mind to, she does. She's always present, and she will always give you her best. She will also bring out the best in you. I've seen her work miracles with her clients and form relationships that are sustainable. And so if you want someone to really help you tell your story, which at the core of this really is what it's all about. We're telling a story about the things that we do, the things that are important to us, and we want to make sure that we're gifting that presence that we have with other people. And that's what you get with Miss Kayla, Miss KO. With that said, I am going to end this here by saying thank you so much, Kayla. You are a true gem. You are a gift to everybody that you touch. And I wish you nothing but success. Everybody, I extend the friendship that I have with my daughter to you. And I am so incredibly proud of you. I am so proud of you. Thanks for all that you do. You are amazing.
Proud of you too. This is an amazing platform, and thank you for having me.